everybody. It is October 3rd? Yes, October 3rd. It is Tuesday, October 3rd, and if you've been watching my vlogs for the past, I don't know. Okay, so today is October 3rd. Yesterday, October 2nd, I put up my first vlog, and that was from footage over the weekend, and that footage, the raw footage unedited, ended up being like almost 2 hours long. So I edited that vlog down to like 30 minutes and I posted it yesterday, but I still have quite a bit of content from over the weekend. So I don't know when I'm gonna post that. I don't know if I'm gonna post like 3 vlogs this week and then post this vlog like next Monday or something, or I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna go. But basically, if you've been watching my vlogs, I said that my goal for October was that I wanted to write 500 words a day in order to prepare myself for NaNoWriMo for 2 reasons. One is to kind of wade back into the waters of drafting regularly, because it has been a couple months since I've been like drafting every day. So before I get to the goal of like 1,700 words a day, we'll start with 500 words a day for this month. And then the second goal is to figure out which book, I'm working on 2 different projects and I'm trying to figure out which one I want to focus on during November for Nano, or if I want to just bounce between the 2 the entire time. So I'll be using this month to figure that out. So that being said, it is the 3rd. I did not write yesterday or the day before because I was really exhausted from all the stuff I had going on over the weekend. So that means that today my goal is 500 words, but technically I'm like 1,000 words behind. So I don't know if I'm gonna write. I mean, I'll probably write 500 words. I'll continue to make that my goal for every day. But, you know, I'm sure if I have to get to 500 words, I'm probably going to write a little more than 500 words. You know, I'm not going to stop at exactly 500 probably. So I'll probably eventually over the month catch up on that like 1,000 words that I didn't do the last couple days. So yeah, that is the plan. It is 7:51 and I don't have to leave for work until 9 actually. So I do have time to do some writing, so I'll probably go ahead and do that right now and see how that goes. Right now I am working on my secret project, so that's kind of the one that's calling to me more strongly right now, but my other project, Marriage Material 4, is something I really need to get done because it's gonna be coming out in not like too long. And I need to work with my cover artist and give her information about the book and everything. So, oh, and also another thing that's happening this week that I almost forgot about. I already had so many things going on and I almost forgot about this, which would have been a bummer. The Writing Gals conference is happening this week. So the Writing Gals is a Facebook group that I really love, and it's a great writing community. Every year they have a virtual conference. I have taught a few classes at those conferences in the past, but this year I am attending just as a student, not as a teacher. So I get to just chill and enjoy the classes, and I am very excited. It starts tomorrow and ends on Saturday, I think. And it's mostly just classes. It's a virtual conference, so it's mostly just classes that are being put up you know, in certain time blocks. And I think there are a few live stream events as well happening throughout the week, but I might not be able to attend any of those live because I have a lot of things going on. But I will watch the replays of the live streams. So that is another thing that I've got going on this week that I might chat with you guys about if I happen to watch any really good classes and have like some big writing revelation or something. So yeah, this week I've got the conference, writing 500 words a day, and also editing more of the vlog footage from this past weekend so I can maybe put up a couple more vlogs this week and like catch up before this one is gonna be ready to come out. So let's jump into some writing this morning. A little kitty? Hi! Hi! Oh, you're so cute. I can't really see if my video is capturing you because it's too bright out here. Oh. Oh my goodness.
Where's your buddy?
You got a new collar? How cool.
When I got out of the car, he's meowing so loud. So loud. Yeah.
There we go. Now I can see. Couldn't see my camera because my phone was too dark. Oh.
Do you like your collar?
I know, I could hear it from inside. Oh yeah, you do? Yeah.
That's a good spot. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You're so beautiful. Hello and good evening. It is Tuesday still. I wrote, I think a little under 300 words this morning, and it went pretty well. I'm working on chapter 1 in this book. I've written a few like random scenes later in the story already. Not a lot though, kind of just like some dialogue and some ideas. I haven't really actually written the whole scenes out. But one thing I haven't talked about yet that is this piece of hair right here is bugging me. One thing I haven't talked about yet that I did recently that was an interesting and helpful experience, because I'm going to be querying with this book that I'm writing right now, I wanted to really make sure that I'm hitting kind of the target. I don't know, I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself, but it's a little nerve-wracking writing something that I'm planning to query instead of writing something that I'm going to self-publish, because in self-publishing, there's always the thought in the back of my head that, like, I can literally do whatever I want and it doesn't actually matter. Like, sure, maybe people won't like it, maybe I'll get bad reviews, maybe I won't get a lot of sales, but I can still write it that way and I can publish it and I can do what I want. But with querying, it doesn't really work that way because I do actually want to make sure I'm doing things kind of, I want to make sure I'm hitting the right plot beats in a good pacing, because I know the last couple books I have written, I have tried to write more like marketable and more like typical genre fiction that is what people expect from a romance novel. But the first 5 books I ever wrote were very not that way. They were very kind of just my own thing and what I wanted to do, even though the pacing was like not really what is typical. And I knew that while I was writing it, but I just wanted it to be that way, so I did it that way anyway. And you know, like, people enjoy those books still, but I don't know that type of book would be necessarily picked up by an agent. So I'm trying to do it the right way with this book. So I wanted to study some traditionally published books, which is most of what I read. I don't really actually read a ton of indie authors, but when it comes to getting advice about writing, most of that I get from indie authors, not traditionally published authors. And the interesting thing about that is that it's kind of a different market, I think. Things are a little different in indie publishing than they are in trad publishing. And one way in particular that I have noticed as I've been reading some traditionally published books with the purpose of like really studying the pacing and studying how it's done, I noticed that they're a lot more comfortable with taking their time to set up the story and set up the characters before really diving into the action. And that's something that in indie publishing, it seems people don't really like to take their time. I've definitely heard the advice many times that, like, for sure you should have the love interest show up in chapter 1, and hopefully, if you can, even by the end of chapter 1, have either, like, have the meet cute and the inciting incident. And that's very fast. And that's not really how I usually write things. I'm definitely more of a slow burn kind of writer. And I was kind of trying to push myself with this new series I'm writing to try to, like, get to the action a little faster. And I think I've been doing well with that. At least with the trying to show the love interest character in the first chapter, if at all possible. I have really been trying hard to say, okay, is there a way that I can make the love interest show up in this first chapter? And if not, if it doesn't work, then I'm not going to force it. But I've been trying to do that. But with this book, I had kind of an idea of what the first chapter was going to be for this secret project I'm doing that I'm going to be querying with. I had a vision for it, but then I started reading some other traditionally published books and studying their pacing. In particular, I just finished rereading, because I've read it before, but I Owe You One by Sophie Kinsella. And I'm also currently reading The Honey-Do List by Christina Lauren. And one thing I noticed right away is that they are totally fine with having several chapters of setup and other things, like, that aren't just, like, getting right into the romance and the meet cute and, you know, all of that stuff immediately. And so it made me realize, okay, maybe I can take my time a little bit more than I thought I should with this book. And so I started to reassess, like, okay, that vision I had for the first chapter, is that really what I want to do? Or if I can take my time a little bit, is there something better that I could do? And I definitely right away realized, like, oh, if I can take my time a little bit, I can do this way better and it'll be more interesting. I can set up the characters a little better, and get people invested in the stories and the emotions of what's going on in the situation a little better. Because the book starts out with a woman being left at the altar, basically. And originally, because I was trying to get to the point really quick, I had thought I was going to start the book out the morning after the wedding, because the premise of the book is kind of centered on the honeymoon situation. Like, she has a honeymoon trip planned that she ends up still going on, but with another man, and they're like fake marriage kind of honeymoon situation. That's the basic premise. That's about as much detail as I want to give about the story. So this woman is going to be left at the altar, and when I was trying to, like, get to the point quickly, because the whole story is really about the honeymoon, not about the wedding, I thought, why don't I start out the morning after the wedding, and she will come in to this woman tearfully watching the, like, video of her wedding from the day before, when her husband, like, admits that he's having an affair and that he doesn't want to marry her and leaves her at the altar. And I think that's good, and it could be strong. And honestly, I could even see this maybe being something that, like, an agent says, like, hey, why don't we start there instead? Like, I don't know, I could see that happening. It could be a strong beginning to start with that, like, emotional punch, but I feel like would be a little stronger if we kind of cared about her a little more first and knew her more before this really sad thing happens to her. So, now that I feel more confident that I can actually take my time a little bit, I decided to start with her getting ready for the wedding. And this way I can set up her character a little bit and her personality being very, very, not particular really, but just like a perfectionist, and with all of her lists and having everything like planned to the T, which is going to make it even more of a big like emotional punch when everything she's planned so perfectly gets completely derailed when her husband leaves her, or fiance. But also, I am able to show her seeing the other man who arrives at the wedding, who is an old family friend of her family's. It's her brother's best friend from when they were growing up, and she hasn't seen him since they were like teenagers, and they had a little bit of a falling out over an awkward situation that they haven't really addressed since then. So instead of just jumping straight to the morning after, I'm able to show her getting ready for her wedding, and then she has to go outside for something, and she sees the other guy, his name's Kyle, her old family friend, and he's there at the wedding, and she didn't know he was gonna be there, and she's kind of like excited to see him, and also remembering like how she's always been was always in love with him when she was younger, and then they're kind of falling out, and how she hasn't seen him since then. And it's like a nostalgic reconnecting moment. So that's like a really sweet moment. And then we get to set up her character a little bit, and then by the time we get to the big punch of her being left at the altar, I think that'll be a little more emotionally impactful. And maybe chapter 2 is when I can start with her like crying on the couch watching her wedding video. And yeah, so that's the plan. And I am happier with this beginning because I really like to be able to give some character development before I get into plot stuff. I think that's where I excel, is in my characters. So that'll be good. So yeah, that's what I'm working on now. I wrote about 300 words this morning. I'm probably going to go try to write the rest of my 500 words tonight. I don't know if I'll write any more than that. I've had kind of like a weird day. So yeah, it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to finish my 500 words of writing today, and then I gotta read some more of the Honey Don't list because it's due back on Saturday. Although I am ahead of where I need to be, as far as I had said I was going to read 27 pages a day every day until Saturday, and the last few days I've read more than 27 pages because I was just like invested in the story. So I don't have to read today if I don't want to. I'll probably still have plenty of time, but I don't know. I might read if I feel like it, or I might play Left 4 Dead instead because that also sounds fun. So I will sign off for tonight, and I'll talk to you in the morning. What the frick? What's happening to you, Coach?
Find a way to get rid of Silverhand fast. He has access to your senses, perceptions, even some memories.
Oh my gosh, Coach, get out of the fire. What are you doing?
Even though Zuzu's
He's just like glitched into a fire. Okay, now he's not. He was like, hold up, I gotta heal. And then all of a sudden he was like, ah, I'm down. And there's like no zombies around. I'm like, what are you doing? And then he got up. Rochelle helped him up. And she was like, anything for a brother. And then, and then he was just like getting really hurt again. Like super rapidly because he was still standing right next to the fire.
That's right.
Ah! What are you doing? Hmm? Just going down there? Alright. Oh, you're making biscuits?
How do you know?
Making some biscuits and biting my feet. Good morning. It's Wednesday, October 4th, which means the Writing Gals Conference starts today. Yay! I'm too tired to be that excited, but I'll be excited soon. So we've got 3 people to clean for today, although our first client of the day has been out of town for a while, and we've cleaned their house already twice since they've been out of town, so it's probably going to be pretty quick. And I mean, last time, since we had already cleaned it before, and they hadn't been home yet, in between, we did like some extra details and stuff that maybe we don't always have time to get to, because otherwise we would have been done like super fast. But now we've cleaned there a normal time, and then we've done a detailed time for like an hour and a half, and now we're going there again, and I think they still haven't been home yet. So I don't know if there's really any more detailed work to be done, but we shall see. That might be a pretty quick one today. But before I go to work, I have to refill all of our cleaning supplies, bottles, and all that stuff. And I have to feed the cats, and eat some food, and peruse the Writing Gals conference, whatever. What am I trying to say? My brain is not like working very well yet. Peruse the schedule for the Writing Gals conference, because I haven't looked at that yet, so I'd like to see what time the classes are going to become available, because they usually make them available in chunks, so they'll put like 5 classes up at 10 and then 5 classes up at noon or something, and then some won't be available till tomorrow and the next day, so that it feels more like a real conference, or like, not a real conference, it is a real conference, but feels more like an in-person kind of conference, and then with the live events too. But anyway, I'd like to see what classes are going to be available today, so I can decide ahead of time what I want to listen to at work, so I'm not like at work trying to decide that. So yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do this morning, and if I have any extra time, if I have enough extra time, maybe I'll do some writing. I did finish my 500 words yesterday. I only wrote like 520 words, so it was just barely over the line, which reminds me, I also want to make a NaNoWriMo page for this project, or for this month of work, so that I can keep track of my word count by the end of the month, because I should be at like 15,000 words by the end of the month if I meet my goal. So I gotta do that too. But yeah, I wrote 520 words, not a lot, but it was good though, and I really liked it, so that's always nice. So maybe I will do a little bit more of that this morning. We shall see. cozy. Getting sleepy. So I just finished watching my first class in the Writing Gals conference and it was great. It was about Sudowrite, which is like an AI platform for writers. And I've been really curious. I've been dabbling a little bit with like ChatGPT, helping me sometimes if I need like, mostly for like taglines and blurbs, and if I have like an idea I'm stuck on. Like, for example, with my marriage material series, I have the couples who are on the dating show going on dates a lot, and after writing like 3 books of that kind of format, it's hard for me to like come up with new date ideas that don't feel too similar to ones I've already done. So sometimes I'll ask ChatGPT, can you just give me some like date ideas for solo dates and group dates on a reality dating show kind of format? And specifically for my reality dating show called Marriage Material, everything's supposed to be tailored to like preparing you for marriage, kind of. So instead of like The Bachelor, where it's just like they just go do fun things, or sometimes like dramatic things like bungee jumping or something, my reality show is more like almost like a premarital boot camp sort of thing, where you're like learning different going through different marital type challenges to see how you fare together. So anyway, sometimes I need some new date ideas, and I asked my husband, but I can also ask ChatGPT. And so I've been dabbling with that, but I've never used AI for like actually drafting anything, and I don't know that I ever will, because that's like the part of writing that I like the most. And so it's like, I don't know why I would want someone else to do that part for me. That's like the fun part. But there's a lot of stuff, a lot of tools actually I just learned available in Sudowrite that are not just drafting. There's help with outlining, help with editing, rewording things to make it stronger, to make sure you're showing and not telling, and or being more descriptive, or just a lot of interesting tools. I don't know that it's necessarily anything I would care to use right now, especially since it's not free, so I'd have to pay. Like, I think it's probably a subscription service you'd have to pay per month to use, and I don't think it's anything that I'm like interested in right now, but it is kind of, it's just really cool to see everything that it's capable of, and I'm very pro using the tools that are available to us instead of being afraid of them and condemning them. So yeah, that was neat to learn about. And it's 8:32 right now. I only have like 10 minutes until work, so it's kind of that awkward amount of time where I don't have time to really do anything useful. So there is one thing though that I need to do, so I'll probably go do that, because I told a new author in a like newsletter swap group that I would share their Halloween story, because I have a newsletter that's supposed to go out on October 30th, so I figured it'd be a good time to share some Halloween stuff. And this person has a Halloween story that they would like people to share, but they don't really have a newsletter of their own to like offer a swap in return. But I was in that position just a couple months ago, so I'm happy to share other people's stuff even if they don't give me anything in return. So I want to make sure, I already wrote that newsletter, and I already put some like thriller kind of reads in the recommendations section. So in my mind, it's like that's already finished. So I want to make sure I go and swap one of those out for this girl's story instead. before I forget. And then, you know, later when I get to sending that newsletter, I'm like, oh, I already finished this, if that makes sense. So I'll probably go do that, and that'll take me like a couple minutes, and then it'll be time for work. So, and I will get to my writing later today. Alright guys, I'm editing this video right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and call it here because it's getting quite long, and the next clip is kind of like starting a new topic, and it's making it like super long to keep that one in. So we'll call it a night here, and I will see you guys next time.